Hey guys, Ironteeth here, and welcome back to Timberborn. So we're gonna go ahead and get back into our continued expansion of the city. Hopefully we're okay. I'm a little concerned about our water because we expanded a tad aggressively without necessarily expanding our water storage to account for that expansion. So we're gonna jump into it. I have some thoughts though, as I've been editing some of my videos, and I'm about a week behind on editing. Usually I record these, and by the time I get back around to editing them, it's 5 or 6 days later. And that's by intention. I just don't have enough time to edit everything the same day that I make it. So as I was going through one of my newer videos, I think it's the one from Friday, I had the thought, we only got 3 days left and we have not much room for pumps, but we could certainly make some room for them. So I'm going to go ahead and run on that idea. I'll show you what I mean in a minute, but let's just get to it. So here we are, guys. So my thought is, we went and put this in last time, and that's fine. I think that's a perfectly workable arrangement, because we still have to put down all kinds of dynamite over here, tear out all kinds of trees. We're just gonna keep on building out this water storage. That's gonna be important, especially as we get bigger. But even more important than the water storage is going to be making sure that we have enough of our own drinking water storage, so that regardless what happens here, we can make it at least 10 days. We're probably pushing that a little bit, but my thought is, we've got all this space down here. We're not really doing anything with it, and we certainly have no reason not to be doing anything with it. Not to be not doing anything with it. Let me correct myself there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add some, first of all, some platforms. Give me a second, I'll lay it out. I'll bring you back. Okay guys, so here's what I've got. In fact, I may expand it even a little bit further, but I am throwing in a whole 8 large water tanks. That's 2,400 extra water storage over the current, let's see, this one has like 3,000, 3,200, somewhere in that range. So we're almost doubling our water storage, with room obviously to expand even more. There's no reason we can't. And an additional 4 pumps. I'm actually probably even going to go ahead and expand that up to 8. We'll detonate this tiny little thing. Never watched that on regular speed. It's a little more exciting than when it's sped up. Okay, so I'm just going to need to make sure here. So flipped around, this is going to be on this side. Should be fine. Oh, oop, we're going to have, as we keep getting bigger, we're going to have some more lag spikes like that. So another reason why we're getting ready to end this series. This will be third to last recording, I think. So we'll move on to something else. We'll reroute that path a little bit. And there we have it, our new water storage system. So we'll get that up and running. Okay. At least for now, this works just fine. I'm leaning towards looping the road around. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it. I'm not gonna necessarily put anything else back here. We'll just run the road all the way around. This will give our builders plenty to do for the time being. And bam. Let our beavers do that work while they wait. And then hopefully we're ready to rock and roll when this drought is over. Which I'm fairly confident. I'm a little more worried about our beavers over here in the reservoir district. But we'll handle them. And they're going to get their own version of this as soon as I can make it happen. So, no worries on their front. Plus, they're getting this. And my thought here is that this is the most open spot, and we're just making it even more so, right? We're gonna tear down all these trees. We're gonna have a lot of water back in here, and especially when the water's flowing, that's when we need to be working our butts off to try to fill up all of our water storage. It has to be clear full by the time the next drought hits. And so what I want for my beavers to do is get to the point where we have buildings not being worked. Any of my important buildings? Some of them. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and turn these guys back on. I'm a little hesitant about doing that just because of the nature of our current situation. But that said, we're trying to fix it, so maybe this is actually for the best. Get these beavers coming, get that population up. What's really been killing us and dragging us down has just been this population cap. And if we're going to finally be rid of that, we need to smash it, and smash it in a big way. Oh, you may hear my daughter. She woke up early this morning and is playing in her room. She is quite loud, which is fine. She's my little princess, but she is quite the rambunctious little kid. So, hopefully that won't be picked up too much by the mic, but I have noticed this. I have noticed this mic is pretty good, so if I can hear it through my earphones, you can probably hear it through my microphone. Anyhow, I'll let them do this work for a little bit, and I'll bring you back when either the catastrophe happens or when we have the water back. So we did just have an interesting problem crop up, one that we haven't had in a long time. We have a log shortage. So they're going to keep on building this out as fast as they can, but yeah, that's not something I expected. Yeah, I mean, we'll just keep on plugging away, but I figured I'd mention that as our beavers are working. They are definitely having a few struggles of their own. So, anyhow, water-wise, it seems like we're okay. We still have 2,000 water here. This district might run into some trouble. But we do have our haulers, so they'll be bringing in our workers in our distribution post, and they'll be bringing some water over here to hopefully tide these beavers over, and we'll go from there. And I think we'll make it just fine. If we get to within a day, there'll be no problem. We can get our pumps up and running. We'll work on refilling all of our water storage. I think we'll make it out of this drought just fine. And with this system up and running, I think we can consider ourselves good for a little while. Okay, it's the last day of the drought. The reservoir did not weather that near as well as I had hoped they would. It's kind of is what it is. So obviously we're going to need to set them up with their own supplies. Part of it might have been this. I still had them dumping water in, but I don't think that was all of it. So we're going to set them up their own little pumping district here. Same setup as over here, and we'll find a place to probably up along here. We'll just put a whole bunch of water tanks. But that is going to take a while, so we're going to be... we'll just be doing our best in the meantime. End of the drought. Make sure this is open. Okay, it is open. So as soon as that water gets down there, they will start pumping. Our reservoir district will survive. And as a whole, we made it just fine. And with all this extra water storage, we should be able to support a much larger population water-wise. We'll definitely have to keep an eye out on food, but ultimately that is kind of our end goal, is to expand this agricultural district. And if this city center gets to where it needs some food imports, we'll bring them in. It'll be one of the first things that happens. So, biggest concern is that we get everything up and running, and our beavers are happily cutting down every single tree that they can get their teeth on. I think we'll be fine there. And we've got some trees being cut down up here, so they can start getting their own. I forgot about this, because they've got the dam up there. All the logs are going to be prioritized. They're going to be prioritized for the dam if I don't change up my priorities. So we are going to raise the water pumping district up to highest priority, or to high priority. Oh, and that works. So there you go. If you want your priorities to automatically extend to everything above them, you got to get what's at the very bottom first. Okay, we have enough water built up. Flowed into here to get them their water going. Let's go ahead and get everybody back on, or get this reservoir filled back up. That's what I'm trying to say. Somehow I've managed to build up 100 explosive surplus. So that's interesting. And they are not installing these. So okay, a thought. Maybe the restriction isn't so much on the vertical, it's on, if it's lower, they can bring in the explosives. That would be an interesting thing. That might be, and I can't see why that wouldn't be the case. So we're gonna run on that assumption, that if they are on a cliff above, they can drop the dynamite down and detonate it that way, which that would make sense. That takes care of my concern that it's not particularly realistic. So we're gonna go ahead and let them keep working on this, and I guess we are stuck working our way down from the top. But we're gonna get our beavers taken care of. We're gonna make sure that everyone has plenty of water, and then we'll worry about the food issue. Okay, I am going to do something a little different. I am going to pause my explosives for now. The reason being, I don't have enough beavers to work these pumps, and I desperately want those pumps to be worked. So we are turning off some of our non-essential buildings, which admittedly there are not very many of those. So we may end up just shutting down. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll shut down our paper as well for now. And probably our gears. We have all those water storage tanks. We just got to get them filled. And obviously our window to do so is going to be very brief. So we're entirely dependent on the game being merciful to us here, and well, that's never a good place to be. There we go. Oh, and some of my beavers just grew up. So as we start getting some unemployed back here in City Center, we'll get the there we go. Okay, so we can actually turn back on some of our other buildings. You know, actually, I am pausing these again. We're gonna just turn the paper on. The gears are not that critical at the moment. Building up a little bit of a paper surplus would let us turn on both of our explosives factories and finish this up that much faster. Our beavers are able to reach everything, so we're good there. Okay, well, I'll let them do their thing and show you here in a few minutes where we're at. Good news and bad news. The good news is we have more water storage than ever. The bad news is we're not full up, and the drought is about to begin. So we're going to have water still being pumped to fill these things after the end of the drought. We'll hopefully be fine. Again, more water storage than ever, but more beavers than ever. So hopefully we've made a proper accounting for that. Ideally, we'd have over 5,000 when this drought started, and obviously that didn't happen. But we are getting ourselves back up there. So, 16 days? Nah, piece of cake. We're not even going to worry about it. I did notice one thing that I should always do. I should prioritize hauling water at all times. And with that in mind, I think that it's almost time we get a dedicated hauling post for the reservoir district. And some dedicated water storage. So, figuring out where we're going to place that. Give me a second, I'll bring you back. And there we go, guys. An extra 1,500 water for the reservoir district once these get built. So we'll hopefully be in plenty good shape there. And with that in mind, I do want them to start focusing on getting some of this dynamite down again. Ah, still short a log on that water. Oop. Gotta keep... I really would love for the inclusion of a beaver to do this, so that I didn't have to. I don't know if this game even supports mods, but if someone wanted to mod in that, I would love you forever. That said, if the devs wanted to add that, I would love them forever. I think that would just be the absolute best thing for taking out some of the tediousness in this game without removing the challenge. Because this would still be a very difficult game on the water management side with that added. So whatever ends up happening, it's fine, but I just that part of the game is probably my least favorite. So anyhow, let these beavers carry on and bring you back when we're done. Okay, so the good news. Our water stores are pretty much clear full everywhere. So that's fantastic. The bad news. My beavers are sucking this reservoir dry so stupidly fast. It is actually kind of scary. So, yeah. I guess that is kind of why I said that we wanted to get everything full before the drought started. And thank goodness it's a short drought. I think we'll be fine regardless. But if this was a long drought, we'd probably be... Sorry, I had to stretch there. If this was a long drought, we'd probably be in a world of hurt right now. And I can't guarantee that we're not in a world of hurt, but I feel a little more confident. Having this lovely 6,000 water definitely does a little something for that. Anyhow, still not much to show. Obviously, our beavers are continuing working. They're far from being lazy, so I'll bring you back when I've got a little more to report. I went ahead and had our beavers prioritize this water storage. We are 5.5 days out and probably just about out of water in general. I'll go ahead and fill this river one last time. That said, 5 days is not that bad. I don't anticipate we will burn through even half of this water, and hopefully our beavers will be able to refill it before the next drought. A little bit more worried about that next drought. We are obviously allowing some very aggressive population expansion. The simple fact is I need them. I need to have them. So it is what it is. Probably what I'll end up doing is setting up, like I was saying before, setting up a Phoenix Plan district. Ooh, go ahead and close that dam. I just assumed it had run out of water, but no, not yet. And that way, if ever we find ourselves burned to ashes again, we can rise from said ashes. Our beavers are continuing right along the way that they're supposed to. No worries on that end, and we're making good progress on this. I want to get it up one more block, probably up along this way, and then this particular extra water storage will be ready to start filling. And there goes all of our water. So we're good up here. Our farms up here will be just fine. I did notice we are actually starting to build up some chestnuts, so we are going to need to expand our cooking and food prep, if you will. So I'm going to run a road down this way, and we're going to expand our district down here. I'm also working on getting it over here, but that's taking time, so it is what it is. Our water is perfectly fine. I think this district has 1,800 for 36. They'll make 4 days just fine. Over here in City Center, 5,000 water. We're not even fully depleted yet, although this water is not going to last long at all. Yeah, we'll weather this drought and beyond to the next before we know it. I do have a lot of paper, so I am going to turn on our second explosives factory. I really want to get that going. Finish this reservoir out if possible. We'll have quite a bit of expansion to do when the flood ends. So yep, and we are just continuing on. The other thing is we are getting an awful lot of wheat and not providing anything for said wheat to be used for. And so that's a bit of a problem. We're going to need to put up a grist mill. And there goes the last of our water reserves. So there will be a grist mill coming soon over here. Alternatively, we could get a distribution center and send it back to City Center. But City Center has all the wheat it can handle. So, if anything, I probably need to add more grist mills over here. Lots to do, but it's also not a huge priority. What may end up being more of an issue is if we can't handle all this wheat, we may have to get some dedicated wheat storage. In fact, that might not be a bad idea, just in general. We are producing so much wheat. I may provide a couple of large storages just for wheat and kick wheat out of everything else. So let's do that. I'll throw one in over here. And the other one can slide in right here. I think I want it there. Yeah, we'll slide it in right there. When those finish, that will be dedicated wheat storage, and we're going to get rid of wheat in all of our other storages so that we only have 1,000. Having more than 1,000, having 3,000 wheat is not doing us any good. We can obviously still expand. So bread is, by all accounts, it is the food you want. I mean, look at our wheat farm compared to our carrots and our potatoes, and you'll notice we don't have any potato storage. I mean, we have baked potatoes, but it's not wheat levels of potatoes, and we're cooking all of our potatoes. We're not processing all of our wheat. We're not baking all of our wheat flour. We just have way too much, which is shocking for such a small field. But that said, all in all, I am very pleased with the progress made this episode. Not a ton happened, but we are working our way down towards being that drought-proof beaver colony. That's what I've wanted from the beginning. It's been the ultimate goal of this whole thing. I would have liked to have done a little bit more, but that said, I don't really have room to complain. This has been a good game. We could keep going and going and going, but I don't think that's going to be really the point. I think we're gonna get ourselves to where we gonna get ourselves to the end of the week, and we're just going to, you'll just have to finish their story in your mind at that point. What happened to our beavers here in Ironhaven? But I would say they have definitely shown themselves to be more than capable of dealing with anything that nature throws at them, and we can just assume that they built a thriving metropolis here in the canyon, and potentially started it was the start of their own beaver civilization. So I would say that would be my assumption. I think that's how things are going to pan out. But hey, there's still two more recording sessions to go. So there is every chance that this could still crash and burn spectacularly. We're still aggressively expanding our population, and we'll see ultimately if that is a gamble that plays out in our favor, or if we, like Icarus, flew too close to the sun. So, that said, I am out of time for this recording. I'll get us through to the end of the drought, and then that's where we'll have to call it. There we go, end of the drought. So obviously we'll cover our future expansion in tomorrow's video, but that said, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, look at all this water left over. Granted, that was only a 16-day drought, but that's with them still filling these things. This water reserve was still being drained quite heavily for the first few days while they got all this water storage built up. Our beavers are making some really good headway. We've got some more expansion to do. Obviously, we've got food that needs to be processed, and we have more wheat than we know what to do with. So we're going to address that in the next episode. And I think we're going to try expanding out. That said, I think next episode is going to be all about expanding out the reservoir district and getting ourselves potentially some of these more advanced materials. If you've enjoyed this content, leave a comment down below, like the video, and we will catch you in the next one.